Hey friends, you are crafting with Kim Byers at the Celebration Shop, and today is really exciting. So we are going to unbox the new Cricut Mug Press, and I'm going to show you all the ins and outs about it. We're going to talk about it, and then we're going to do our first project. Okay, let's go. Okay, so here we are on the craft table, and this is the first look at the Cricut Mug Press. So if you've not heard much about this yet, basically this is a heat press for mugs. So this does not use vinyl. This uses infusible ink. And if you don't know about infusible ink, basically you can bake it into the material. So right now we've been using this on t-shirts and tanks and bags and things and coasters. Well, now we're going to be able to use them on mugs. And so there's also these really amazing infusible ink pens where you can draw things or trace things, and then you can use those and place those on mugs as well. So let's go over and go ahead and start unboxing this. And so here we go. Okay, and so inside the box we have some cords, some more cords, and then an Open Me. Okay, so let's just open this up and see what they have to say. So it's how to activate our product at Cricut setup. Okay, so our machine is covered in cellophane, so we're going to go ahead and take that off, and then we're going to go over to the computer and do the activation. Okay, so now that we're in Cricut Design Space, we'll just go up to the Home button, and we're going to select New Machine Setup. There will be two choices, cutting machine and heat press. We're going to choose heat press and then the Cricut Mug Press. So just make sure that you put your mug press in a well-ventilated area. Like I use my ceiling fan in my craft room. So we're going to plug in the cord, and then we're going to plug it into the wall. And there's the small cord we're going to plug into the back of the mug press and into our computer. Now, you only have to do this once. So once the two find each other, your new mug press is associated with your Design Space account, and you don't have to do it again. Okay, so now we're in Cricut Design Space, and we're ready to design our very first mug. So what you're going to do is go into Images, and you are going to search for mug designs, and you're going to get all these different templates as well as pre-designed mugs, and some of them are oh so fun, or you can create your own. So what I have here is literally a design with a scallop edge. There's going to be torn edge, there's going to be a zigzag edge, there's going to be a straight edge. You're going to be able to choose from all of these different things, and once you pull that in, we can start designing. Okay, so for what we're going to do today, I want to show you a couple of things. So this is the template, and this will allow it to wrap around the mug. This won't have any ink on it, but basically this side and this side will attach at the handle so that you know that you're placing it correctly. And then you could have the scallop edge. You could do the design without this base color and just the text. But today, for this first project, we're going to do a knockout. Now these items across the top, it's basically just a guide. We're actually going to turn them off. If you look over in layers, it says hide this layer. So we will turn that off before we send it to Matt. But this is just showing you that if you put your design on this side, this is with the handle on the left, and if you put it on this side, a handle on the right. And you could, of course, put designs on both or in the middle. Okay, so now that we have all of that figured out, what I want to show you next is just going into Images and grabbing something simple that we can cut. So if we go over into Images, and there will be cartridges dedicated to mugs, but right now we're just going to choose something simple, and I'm going to do the word crafting just to bring up some really fun designs. I like this one. I'm crafting today. So we're going to pull that one in. And so before we do anything with it, I'm just going to reduce the size a little bit so you can see it. Before we do anything with this, you notice that there are some tiny little dots in this font. I actually want to remove those because I want it to be a really simple cut. So we're going to go into Contour, and we're just going to turn off, and it'll take a little clicking, right? But we're going to turn off all of those And okay, so now we can click off. And so now we don't have any of those little dots in any of our text. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is make it a little bit smaller. I am going to make it roughly 3 inches or so. Let's make the screen a little bigger. We'll move it up onto the template. Okay, and so now that we have it onto the template, you can really adjust the size to, you know, what you want it to be. I'm usually about 3 inches, but if you decide you want it to be a little bit smaller, you can, you know, somewhat adjust that and then center it. We are going to go in and turn off hide this layer. Okay, so now that we have everything adjusted the way that we want it to be, we're going to hide those. And now we're going to select all and we're going to attach. So now what you have, or what you're left with, is an image that is going to cut out. And now remember, we're putting this on a mug and we're putting it on a white mug. So we're going to have the color of the infusible ink, and then we will weed out the text and you'll be able to see the white behind the text. Okay, so now it's time to, we're going to use our maker, and it's time to go ahead and hit make it. Okay, so now we're on the mat and you can see that everything is all together. What we want to do is hit mirror. Okay, and now we can continue. Okay, so now our maker is connected. Just remember, you can use your maker, your Explorer, or your Joy, and I can look into favorites, and I have my infusible ink transfer sheet. If you don't already have that in your favorites, just browse all materials, and it's in the iron on section. So we're going to click that. We're only going to need our fine point blade. And so everything is ready. Now we can hop over to the craft table and put our material on the mat. Okay, so here we are back on the craft table, and it's time for the fun part. So we have our Cricut Mug Press already activated and ready to go. We have our design in Cricut Design Space. We have mugs, we have infusible ink sheets, we have a green mat. I have heat resistant tape just in case we need it. And then I also have an easy press mat to put my mug on once it comes out of the machine. And I have a lint roller. Okay, so let's move everything out of the way and go ahead and prep our first cut. For today's project, we're going to use this ultraviolet. It is such a gorgeous color. So what we want to do is we just want to take, oh, and by the way, I want to show you, this is what it says, you know, Cricut Mug Press, so you know that this is exactly the right size for the mug press. But basically, we're going to take this out, and if you've not worked with infusible ink before, they come in these black sleeves, and the reason for that is so that there is no light that can, you know, fade the ink. Okay, so when you get done with your sheet, you're going to want to put it back in the black. So whatever's left over, you're going to want to put that back into the box. Okay, so you have 2 sheets. Now I want to show you something just real quick. So you see this color? This is the color that it's going to be, but it's going to come out and it's going to look a lot less vibrant. Don't worry about that. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to put this on our mat, and I'm going to put it on by hand. I don't want to use my scraping tool because I do not want to scrape off any of that ink. So you want a good mat. You probably don't want a mat that has been used, you know, to the point of it not being sticky at all. And I do that sometimes, I know. Okay, so we put this down, put it down with our hands, and now we're ready to take that over to the machine. Okay, so here we are at the Cricut Maker. We just want to put our mat underneath the feeds and load. And now it's time to hit cut. Now let's take our design off the mat and weed it. So you know I always tell you guys to bend the mat, not the material. So we just want to bend our mat and start popping that design off. Okay, your mat can take it and your design could get messed up. Okay, so we put that out of the way, and now with infusible ink, for those of you who have not used it before, it's kind of a cracking method. Now I'm probably going to cut this off and actually save it for another project because if you craft with me ever, you know that I love to save materials. So I'm just going to trim that off and put that to the side. And so what we want to do is we want to crack that design and get off the excess pieces. Now I'm actually going to crack that and take it off as well. So see, now there is this shape for the mug. Okay, so like the closures all the way around, but we don't want that. We don't want that to actually be behind the mug. So we're going to take that out. And then we will just kind of crack in these, and we will pull as much of it out as we can by hand. I really don't like using any tools to weed just because it can scratch your ink. But if you do, I would say use the tweezers. A little tip sometimes, so my mat, I just put it underneath, and so the sticky part of my liner is actually sticking to the mat so it doesn't kind of move around while I'm trying to weed this out. And make sure that, again, you're popping out the letters. You want to leave the interior of each of those letters. And if you see some of the white backing is in there, I like to get that out, but if you can't, it doesn't have any ink on it, so it's really not gonna mess with anything. But I mean, try to get it out, but don't fret too much if you can't. Okay, so now we have our weeded design, we have our lint roller, and we have our mugs. There are two different sizes of mugs. This is the smaller mug, and when you look at templates, you'll be able to select the smaller mug or the larger mug. So these mugs are really well wrapped and taken care of, and the larger of the two actually has a gift box that you can then use, you know, like and decorate for gifting. But what I wanted to show you is, even though this came in plastic, you want to take your lint roller and you want to just make sure there's no extra dust or anything on that mug, because that infusible ink will stick right to it. So it's as quick as that. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to apply our design. Okay, and so now it's time to place our design on the mug, and we want to place ink in. And we just basically want to line up our edges on either side of the handle. And so when you cut this out, it actually cut out the ink, and then it cut out a piece of the backer. Remember when we popped that off? And so that's going to be perfect for lining this up. And so now our mug is ready to go in our mug press. Okay, so it's time to put our mug in the mug press. This is such a simple machine. There is one button, there's 5 indicator lights, and then there is this large handle, which basically, you see that how it closes the mug press around and makes it tight around the mug. So all we need to do is we take our mug, we set it inside our mug press, we line our handle up, and we close it. Okay, and so now it's automatically started the process. So you see the first indicator light came on. We will wait till all 5 are done, and you don't stop right when the 5th one starts. You let it complete, and then it will tell you that it's done. Okay, so it'll get that nice long beep. And so then we will just open our handle and take out our mug. The handle of the mug will never get hot. The mug itself will get extremely hot. That's why we want to place it on our Easy Press mat when we take it out. So at this point, we just need to wait. It's about 6 minutes or so. Okay, so we just had the beep, 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 and you see it's flashing now, and the lights are done. So what we want to do is, and see now it's turned itself off, we want to open that up. This is not hot. We're going to pick up our mug and just set it on our Easy Press mat. So and see the machine itself, I can move it out of the way, it's not hot. So the thing is, I want to show you about this. If you can see a little bit, there is some scorching. That's okay, it's not a big deal. Okay, so, and you see that the lip comes up above the edge of the mug, that also is okay. It'll just give it that nice, you know, like all the way to the edge ink. Okay, so now I know you want to pull it off and you want to see what it looks like. Don't do it. Okay, you need to allow it to cool. You need to allow it to cool all the way. So we're going to give it a couple of minutes and we'll come back and then we'll do the big reveal. Okay, so the mug has cooled completely and it's time to remove the Infusible ink sheet. It's exciting. Oh my goodness, I can already see it a little bit. Oh wow. Look at that color. Isn't that beautiful? And see the sheet itself. all the ink is gone. So if I had removed this before it was completely done, you would still see some remnants of ink here, but that is 100% of the ink on the mug. Okay, so what did you think about the Cricut Mug Press? These are so easy to make. The machine is really simple. One button, it bakes the design right into the mug, so they are dishwasher safe and permanent. They will not fade. It is going to be so much fun making these for gifts and for yourself, and I could just see making them for every single holiday, like a whole collection for every holiday. So I would love to know what you think down in the comments below. I'm also making more videos using the Cricut Infusible ink pens and some other things, so I will link those up as soon as I get them done, and I would love for you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. See you guys next time.